If you enjoy what I do or would like to see my content improve, please consider donating at patreon.com, subscribestar.com, or a one-time PayPal donation. Links in the description.
Father, Sue and I really want to fix our marriage. As soon as we get to the lake, could you start doing whatever it is you do? You know, like pray, take out that smoke thing, fling that water hammer you got.
The only solution for you and Sue is to engage each other and share your deepest feelings.
In front of people? I'm not doing that!
Hey, hello, how do you do? Shady Doorags here. Well, it only took forever, but I'm finally getting around to the top requested show from a poll I did a few months back. Yep, this was definitely the most requested show I watch and review. After going through what is currently 3 seasons of F is for Family, there are plenty of topics to talk about, but what drew my eye the most is the protagonist of the show, Frank Murphy. F is for Family has each member of the Murphy family going through an arc dealing with their role in society. Naturally, Frank's role is that of the father, the husband, the man, and he fits a lot of stereotypes that comes with being those things in his time.
I said play the party! I'm okay with it! I'm being the cool dad now, it's all groovy! Hey, we're the monkeys, dodge the draft!
This concept is what makes Frank more interesting to me personally, more than, say, BoJack Horseman. Don't get me wrong, the show BoJack Horseman overall has the better story with better characters, but as I've made clear in past videos, I don't relate that much to most of the main ones. I understand that there are a lot of people who relate to trying to be a good person or struggling to find happiness, but I'm just not one of them. I am, however, someone who relates to trying to be a good quote-unquote man, and that's what Frank is all about. Frank couldn't care less if he's a good person, so long as his family is taken care of, and so long as society still respects him.
Guys, I'm sorry, I gotta go see Sue. I can't do this thing with you.
Now, what it means to be a man is going to be something different depending on who you ask, but for the sake of this video, let's stick with Frank's values, which are mostly traditional male roles. Frank is often challenged by the events of his life on these male roles, and such challenges strike an interesting conversation. For example, in Season 2, Frank and Sue's marriage is going through a rough patch. Sue has determined that the source of the problem is Frank's inability to communicate properly. He isn't willing to truly listen, and he's not willing to dig deep down when it comes to sharing, a very stereotypical manly trait.
Frank, we have to talk through what happened yesterday and figure out where all this anger we've been sitting on came from.
If anything's gonna lead me to an early grave, it's doing this.
Well, if we don't address this, things will get worse.
It takes some time, but Frank eventually sees that Sue has a point, and he agrees to go with her to couples counseling. While there, Frank is reluctant to share because that's not how he was brought up.
I don't know how I feel.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't. I was always taught to keep things to myself. We didn't burden other people with their problems. It's considered impolite.
That was the old way of thinking. Come on, honey. You can do this.
But finally, after being pressured by Sue, he begins to open up, and the results are...
Remember that, Susan? For better or for worse? Well, worse happened. I lost my job, and how did you support me?
I got a job to feed the whole family.
Yeah, a job where you're doing better than me.
awkward. Frank comes to a realization that many of the things he's done in the past have been related to his want to be the top provider for his family, another stereotypical manly personality trait. Even though he wasn't aware of it at the time, he actually wanted Sue to fail, or at the very least, do worse than he did. It's a painful realization for himself, as he discovers this traditional male trait has been causing him to actually fight against his family, the one thing he cares about the most. Sue has been doing what's best for the family, while he was just doing what was best for himself. So after finally opening up all of his emotions just like she wanted, how does Sue take all this?
This is a competition? That you're trying to win?
As most people would. This is actually one of, if not my favorite moment in F is for Family, because of how realistic it is. Sue spent a good amount of time pressuring Frank to dig down and open up. She was ready to support him, ready for him to say something that he and maybe others wouldn't be able to tolerate. What she wasn't ready for was for Frank to say something she couldn't tolerate. Instead of meeting Frank with empathy and helping him to resolve the problem, she lashes out in anger. There are many people in society pressuring men to abandon their traditional roles that, in many cases, exist for a reason. Some of these men go on to do that, and instead of being met with empathy, they are met with more trouble, often by the very same people who encourage them to leave their roles. Frank does exactly what he's asked, to dig deep down and emote. And just as he predicted, doing so burdens others with his problems. So does this mean Frank shouldn't have done that? Does this mean men should only stick to their traditional roles? No. Sue did the right thing telling Frank he needed to open up, and Frank did the right thing by listening. But what needs to be understood here is that opening up was only the first step. It wasn't a fix-all solution. The show is specifically talking about men here, but this concept applies to pretty much all groups and personality traits. People stick to personality traits for reasons. It is true that there are problems that will arise in which the best solution will be to temporarily or permanently abandon that personality trait. But whatever problem that personality trait was preventing will now arise.
How could you say that?
You were the one who wanted me to go deeper, Sue! Well, congratulations! You dig for oil, sometimes you hit a sewer pipe. And now, it's all out there!
This is an issue I've noticed in society, and it doesn't even escape this show. While I've praised the execution of what happens to Frank, the solution is actually very lackluster. The show basically has Frank learn that he should just get over his feelings.
If you shot me now, you'd be doing me a favor. My wife hates me, and for good reason. I haven't been there for her. The only right decision I ever made was marrying that woman. I spent the last 2 months throwing it all away.
Oh, Frank.
Which belittles the point entirely. These emotions are built into people, built into Frank. He can't just get over them. What should have happened was Frank and Sue, after calming down, talk about their problems some more. Frank works with Sue, his family, and his pastor, or some other leader in his life, to do physical activities that will help push his mind out of where it currently is. He might thank Sue more often, visit her at her job and learn what she does, continue to openly speak about his insecurities. The list goes on. The basic concept is that it would be a process, not an instant fix. When you get down to it, you can't force someone to change who they are. Even if they're willing, it takes time and practice for a personality trait to develop or change. Frank's story is how that relates to men. As someone who has lived his life being traditionally male, all the changes in his life and in society that are demanding he change essentially who he is are naturally difficult for him. Thinking that change is easy or even that once it's done it will fix everything is naive and will only make things worse. It needs to be understood that changing someone does not mean getting rid of their negatives. It means changing their negatives. You want the new negatives to be worth getting rid of the old negatives. Frank's journey to rid himself of certain manly stereotypes are done because while it is true that he'll become more of a burden on the others, he'll better himself in ways that will benefit his family. And to Frank, taking care of his family is the manliest thing he could do. This has been Shady Doorags. So long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, goodbye.
I don't know, I guess it bugs me that my dream's in the past and yours is ahead of you. It looks like you're gonna do a lot better than me. But as a man, I have to be doing better. Or what am I? And that's why, I guess deep down, in a roundabout way, I was hoping that you'd fail.
I can't believe you.